Boop, 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 boop. I think we're live. Yeah. Hi. This is Kimberly Rivia, and today I'm taking over Cubist podcast with our special guest, Sarah Sharp from Creators Companion and Daily Magic Games. How are you tonight, Sarah?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
So excited?
Yes. Yeah.
And it is episode, hold on, I have to scan over, 87. One book to rule them all.
Yes.
So many. So many singular books. Good, I'm doing well.
It's going to be a good night.
So good. So good. I have my tea. All right. So per the typical Cubist tradition, and I apologize, we like to start off the show by reviewing a game we've recently played.
Yay!
Sarah, can you start us off?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The most recent game I played was Saturday. I played Coimbra with the one tar and her lovely husband Steve and my husband Levi. Coimbra is fun. It's right up my alley. It's dice placement, dice manipulation, kind of. Like, I don't know. It itches all those scratches that I have about Euro games.
So scratchy.
Yeah. It has a bit of a steep learning curve just because the board and the cards is 100% iconography. So you spend a good half an hour at least flipping through the book going, what does that do? What does that little arrow mean? I don't understand. But once you get the hang of it, it's quite simple to play. It's fast. It's 4 rounds. I like the kind of engine building with picking certain cards, but I'm also trying to beat you to the card with the dice that I roll, and then the color of the dice are lend to the income, and it's just this wonderful menagerie of movement and mechanics, and it's beautiful to look at. It's bright and it's fun and it's thinky, and I like thinky stuff.
It's good and crunchy and Euro-y and
yeah.
Dicey and just altogether pretty.
Yeah.
And it's who designed it?
His name is Virgiano Gilli and Flaminia Bersini. I slaughtered both of those names, and I apologize.
That's what we do, boo.
Wholeheartedly.
And who's it published by?
That would be Eggert Spiel currently.
Eggert Spiel.
Yeah, I think that's going to change, but
yeah, I would imagine when it comes to the US. Now, are you prepared to rate it on the Cubist scale? Or you can continue to talk about it because it's just the two of us. So we can talk about it for like 9 years if you want. Usually I yell at them for taking too long typically.
I just say highly recommend. If you like Euros, play it. If you like engine builders, play it. If you don't want to fumble through what every card does, don't play it. Okay. But I would give it,
So as a play it, your official, because the Cubist scale is buy it, play it, forget it, burn it.
Oh, I would definitely say play it.
Play it.
And then if Euro is your thing, I would definitely say buy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coimbra is actually the photo that we are using in our current Granite Game Summit event.
Ooh, so, exciting.
I know. I'm really jealous. I would like to play that one soon.
Yes.
All right. Now I have to talk about a game.
Yes.
Not just butts. Bill will be so proud. Also, we'll talk about butts later.
Butts later.
I'm still me. Okay. I would like to talk about Brass Birmingham. Brass is a Martin Wallace game that was just recently republished. Birmingham is a new edition that was co-designed by Gavin Brown and Matt Tolman, published by Roxley. It is the new art and graphic design and everything is gorgeous. Huge upgrade from the prior. It is an economic game. You're building like boats and trains.
Fun.
Little engine-y bits. I generally do pretty well on it, so that might impact my view of the game. I don't know. I've played it a lot lately. Okay, according to BGG, it says hand management, which is true because you play through like a hand of 8 cards.
Sure.
And route/network building, also valid because you build from points and then build out. Have you gotten to play it yet? No, right?
I haven't, but I got to see it when we were at PAX West. They had a hot games room set up, and it looked fantastic. But every time we had time to go play, there were already people.
It's got these great, well, they maybe don't all have them, but my friend's copy has the great clay chips things, which I realize looks like bad hand gestures, so I'm going to put my hand down.
But anyway.
But it really, everything just flows together so perfectly in a game, which is like my key Euro-y beautifulness. Like I really like Vital Lacerda games as well because they all flow together and they just make sense to me. Like sometimes small games can be difficult for me to learn, but big games I can usually get right through. For me personally, it's a no-brainer, buy it. For the probably more typical player, I'd say play it.
Play it first.
Play it, yeah. It's definitely not everyone's cup of tea. Martin Wallace games are kind of brutal. You often have to take out pretty punishing loans in order to be able to do anything.
Yeah. Well, you could always like go halvesies and with some friends, share custody, back and forth, that kind of thing. That's an option too.
I forgot that I was Cubist. Hi guys, I am the Cubist podcast in the chat tonight. I was like, oh, Bill's on too. No, wait, that's me. That is me logged in and running the show. You're welcome, guys. I have a cold. Okay. Let's move on to the topic at hand. Rule books.
Yay!
Woohoo! All right. So why don't you tell us more about Creator's Companion and how it began?
Sure. It kind of began by a happy accident. A conversation with my other half. I had been struggling for a long time at trying to be a writer because I love storytelling. It's kind of why I love games so much because I feel like there's a lot of storytelling built into games. And I have this really bad habit of sitting down to knock out some pages and I can't shut my brain off long enough. Like I can't write without editing as I write. And if any writer will tell you, that's just the worst thing to do ever. You have to be able to vomit onto a page and
then
get
come
it
back
out and then go back and do that.
Yep.
I can't do that. It's just not physically possible.
Yeah.
And then
I'm the same way.
Yeah, through various conversations, I had this epiphany one day of like, oh, I can contribute to the storytelling process by editing other people's words and helping them bring their stories to life. And it was like, just like the light bulbs went off. I was like, oh my God, why didn't I figure this out 10 years ago? Blah. Anyway, so I was like, well, where do I get started? I originally went to school as an English major and then life happened and I switched and I became a nurse. So it's like I don't have a master's degree or anything in English or lit, but I'm I'm well read and well versed and self-trained and all that good stuff. I was like, well, I know our company, Daily Magic, we could always use better rule books. I've talked to friends about their rule books. Maybe I should start where my toe is already dipped in the water and go from there. And that's where we are. I started with rule books and now the company is expanding where where I'm rolling into books. There has been some talk in the last 2 weeks about possibly pushing out an anthology series this year.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, expanding and growing and looking for there's just all kinds of things going on. So yeah, started with tabletop, really like doing role-playing books, things like that, and that's just kind of where that happened. And I was like, what do I do to get started? So I built a webpage and got some business cards and started talking to people, and that's just kind of how it went. And here we are.
And now you're here.
And now I'm here with you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I've made it. I feel like being on the Cubist is kind of like,
I'm trying to air hug you.
I know. I like it.
Okay. Just the awkward one hand pat because it's still me, but
that's fair.
Yeah. I have to keep it, true to me, unfortunately. I feel like I'm glad that he set these bad boys up to auto tweet through the Cubist account because
Yeah.
I can never remember the login.
It's okay.
Okay, so everything with the creators companion started pretty naturally, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Kind of an organic mix of desire, skill, need,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think need is really kind of what got it up off the ground, because everybody I talk to is like, rule books are garbage most of the time. And I'm like, yeah, they kind of are. And just, being married to a game designer, being a co-owner of a publishing company, knowing lots of other people in the industry,
Yes.
the rule book is always the last thing that gets tended to when it, should really
No,
be
my goodness.
cultivated throughout the process. And
Yeah.
so
As a board game connoisseur and player, yeah, I wish more attention was paid to rule books
yeah.
because, oh boy, a lot of them are still really terrible, and
Well,
there needs to be some more money invested in rulebook editing.
well, and I think when the Spiel des Jahres committee spoke up and were like, look at all the games we had to just throw out of consideration because the rule books were terrible. I feel like people are starting to finally pay attention to how important that is.
It's such a big deal. I think that last year's Essen releases was like the worst crop of board game rule books I have ever seen. We tried to play a bunch of them at BGG-Con, and the rule books were so terrible.
Yeah.
It was clearly, I mean, to me, that just screams rush to print.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, there's already, and this is me talking from a publisher standpoint,
right.
There's already a problem of we hype our games and hype our games and hype our games getting ready for release. And then once they hit retail, it's like we don't give them the continued support that they need. So people keep buying them after the initial release. And because of that, there is this rush to print because now I gotta get it to print so I can move on to the next thing. Right.
While the hype still exists.
Right. But what we're not taking in consideration is once something goes to retail and I'm not there to hype it or demo it or get people to pitch it to other people, if you're just, Sally Joe walking in and off the street and you pick it off the shelf and you say, oh, this looks interesting, and you take it home and you can't play it because you can't figure out how it plays, that's going to ruin your entire experience. And now not only have you either burned it or taken it back to your friendly local game store for store credit, but as a publisher, I've now probably lost a customer because the next time I have a title out, they're going to be like, yeah, their last game was not great. I'm just going to pass. Right. As publishers, we need to give more attention to the greater picture of the cradle to grave of our titles. And that means, how are people who weren't at Gen Con, who weren't at Origins, who didn't get the rundown of the post-Essen spiel, the regular customer who goes to the local game store, how are they going to know that I make a quality game?
Right.
With nobody there to handhold them through that process, right? So we've got to focus on making everything quality, and that rule book is such a huge part of it. I know I'm 100% behind playthrough videos, right? I think playthrough videos are fantastic. I'm a firm believer in there's many different types of learning styles out there, right? Some people can't read a rule book. They need to watch a playthrough video. They need to have it taught to them. That's fantastic. Sometimes, like me, I watch a playthrough video and then I still need to have the rules there for reference, because 15 minutes into the game, I'm going to be like, what did he say?
What was that thing again?
About
I have
that
to
die?
do like a combination of hands-on.
Yeah.
And I do better when somebody else teaches me, but I'm more of a like trial by fire, learn as I go. But I definitely still need to be able to reference the freaking rule book and find like the order in which things are listed in rule books can be pretty problematic too.
Yes. I mean, if I can't, let's say I did get taught how to play a game at a convention, right? And whoever taught it to me really well, okay? But I get it home and I'm like, okay, I'm 95% positive I can explain how to play this game, but there's one little thing that I didn't understand, or there's one thing I can't remember.
Yeah.
I should be able to open the rule book and within a minute find where that thing is. And it should be laid out in a logical manner so that I know where to look, right?
Right.
If I go to, let's say I have a rule about like meeple movement. Let's say I have a rule about meeple movement, how I can move my meeple around the board, okay? But there's something nuanced about that also has to do with your money management of when you move that meeple. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. When I go to movement, right, and it tells me about how I move it, when I get to that part that says, okay, you can move your meeple 4 spaces, and if you land on the 3rd space, you earn X dollar amount. Well, why do I earn X dollar amount? There should be a little bubble right next to it that says turn to page 34, or, you know, whatever it is. I should be able to cross-reference back and forth through that rule book so that rule books should be made to anticipate your questions.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Rule books should be written to anticipate your questions.
That's very accurate. Yeah. I agree. I could not agree with that more. I swear to you, if that cat attacks me from behind, I can see him in the corner of my eye getting closer. Everybody, there's Pete Edward Peterman joining the show. Okay, so I'm going to start going back to some of the comments, the questions in the chat. So first up, we have the lovely Chris Mitchell with a clearly very serious question of rule books. Do they rule?
Well, yeah.
When they're done well.
Yeah.
Mediocre and poor rule books, they don't rule. They can burn in a fire.
They rule like O'Doyle. You're welcome for that reference.
All right. And Sam Hillier, and I hope I am saying that correctly, that is strictly based off of Patrick's last name pronunciation.
Oh, thanks for your tweet, Sam.
He would like to know, how did you get the word out to potential clients, and how did you get your first breakthrough?
Ooh, hustle. A lot of hustle. So when I first started doing it, I just approached friends who were other publishers, right? Daily Magic Games is my other company, has been in business for almost 3 years. And so a little over 3 years, actually. And so we have a lot of friends in the industry. So I went to other friends who were publishers, and I was like, hey, I'm doing this side thing. Do you need help with your rule books? And I had some friends that took the bait. So I did some rule book work with Thing 12 for like Click Click Boom. I'm working on another rule book for them right now, Seals of Cthulhu. Talon Strikes Games, I did their rule book for King's Champion. You know, those are close friends of ours who I was also like, hey, help me, you know. And since then, yeah, we're friends. I'll help you, you help me. We'll work this out. But since then, it's been every convention that I go to. I bring a stack of business cards and I take one day of the show to literally walk booth to booth and shake hands and introduce myself and ask them about their titles and ask them about what their needs are. And it's a lot of doing that, exchanging business cards, assuming they're going to forget who I am as soon as I walk away from the booth, and then getting back home and touching base with those people via email. Hey, we met at Gen Con. Hey, we met at Origins. We talked about this project of yours. Let me know if you have any needs. I will, and it's a bit of a shotgun approach. I have to email all the people and I'll get some replies back. And then it's whittling that down into who has projects now, who needs help now, who needs help later, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a lot of hustle.
It's a lot of hustle.
A lot of hustle.
I actually was just talking with Daniel Newman, who's also in the chat the other day, about how a lot of general industry stuff for board gaming is done in a similar fashion, right? Like there's a level of hustle. Some of it is done via like social media. a lot is done at conventions.
Yeah.
So much is done at conventions. A fair amount is done at like after hours at the bar at conventions. Like they're
that is so true.
especially when it comes to anything within like marketing and content creation and that aspect within the community. A lot of that is like after hours at the bar on too. But it's definitely like, I think networking is huge because it's such a small, tight-knit community. So you really got to get out there, hustle and network to do anything from the ground up within it.
Oh, and I mean, doing things like this, being on podcasts, and being on panels at conventions is a huge chunk of my marketing plan, right? I have to get in front of people because because rule books are such an afterthought. Up until recently, there wasn't a whole lot of conversation about professional rule book editors who that's what they do. And there's a good handful of people that do it. But they've been, from what I understand, have been kind of working in the background of the industry for a while, right? They were similar things. They know people, so they just started talking and they work in the background. And so when I first started looking into doing this, a lot of what I was seeing online was like, why would somebody pay for editing? Like, why would a company do that? Why don't you just go online and let random people tell you what's wrong with it?
The crowdsourced rulebook situation, and the crowdsourced graphic design that happens on like the BGG forums, and
now that I've been in it for a little bit, and trust me, I'm the first one to admit that I am still the newbie on the field. I get it. But I've had companies tell me, oh, well, we have an editor who edits our grammar and proofreads and stuff. And I was like, that's fantastic.
That's amazing. That's not the same thing.
That's not the same thing.
Not even slightly.
And so I generally try and get people to sit down and have a conversation about, I'm not just editing your words. I mean, that's part of it. We'll do a proofread before you go to print, but it's also, I'm editing your mechanics. It's not a developmental edit per se, right? I'm not developing your game. I'm not trying to blind test it and tell you where it sucks or how it's broken or where it's awesome. But I am trying to tell you that if this is the rule that you're trying to convey, what you have written doesn't make any sense, right? Or, hey, you have this rule to do this. Did you take into consideration if you rolled doubles? Or if, what happens if this comes about, right? I'm trying to catch the things that people will have questions about where the mechanics doesn't explain that to me. I generally ask for like a print and play or a prototype or something because I want to play the game at least once to have a better understanding of what your idea of how the game should work. And then go from there. But it's as much about editing mechanics as it is about editing words, in seeing the holes in the mechanics. Because so many times I've had designers tell me, oh, I thought that was obvious. I'm like, no, obvious is a word you need to drop from your vocabulary because it's not obvious at all. Like, you have to spell it out, and how you spell it out can change how the mechanic is played. So we need to be very specific in what you want to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's good. It's definitely, I think the fact that people don't see the difference between just a grammatical, oh my gosh, I need a nap.
Okay.
Edit versus playability edit. It's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Mr. Chris Mitchell again in the chat with another question. I'm just trying to do them in chronological order. If I skip a question, somebody please let me know. When laying out a rule book, do you have to think about the ease of learning versus the ease of reference during the game? Do you find that these two goals can be in conflict with one another?
I think that depends on how chunky the rule book is, right? I'm working on a rule book right now that I can't talk about. I can't mention specifically, but there are some complicated mechanisms going on, right? So because of that, I have to take into consideration learning how to play and then quick reference after you know how to play, right? And I think those two things can always be reconciled together in one way, shape, or form. My go-to is generally, let's try to put some kind of quick play guide in the rule book if it's a chunkier game, right? If you have a rule book that's like 4 pages long, we don't need a quick play guide. But if it's something a little, if we're talking 20, 30 pages, then we should have
a quick play.
We need a quick play guide to at least break down the turns or break down what it is. But within the rule book, I'm a big fan of walking you through gameplay step by step, but then within that, putting references to other pages. So like I mentioned before, if I'm looking at movement, but movement also affects something else, I know, okay, I'm reading about movement. Oh, and I need to jump to page 22 because this talks about where I'm going to collect my income because of that move, or, you know, whatever it is. It can be difficult, but it's both of those things have to be taken into consideration when laying it out, because you need to satisfy the first time it's been played, but you also need to satisfy future plays. Like, I know for us at home, our general rule of thumb is like, we don't know how to play a game until we played it 3 times. And sometimes that third
I would say twice.
Yeah. Sometimes that second or third play will be 6 to 8 months after I played it the first time. So I'm not necessarily going to remember
how I
played it the first time. So I need to keep that in mind too, of they may have played it, they may know how to play it, but it may have been a while. So they need to easily be able to go back and find where a rule is. So yes, it can be done. Sometimes it is difficult, but it is necessary to merge those two things together. Did I answer your question, Chris? I hope so.
I think so. And William Bass, one or the other, asks, can you speak to the importance of blind playtesting? This seems to be an often overlooked part of the process, which could go so far to reveal the weaknesses in rule books.
William, you are heaven sent just to bring me that question so much. I cannot scream the praises of blind playtesting enough. Both from a publishing standpoint and a rulebook standpoint.
Definitely from like a development publishing standpoint.
So there have been so many times where I have been handed a game, whether it be during a pitch or somebody wants me to play test it or whatever it is. And they'll be like, we've gotten 100 play tests in. Awesome. And the first question I ask will be, have you blind played? How many times have you blind play tested? And if they tell me none, it could be the best thing I've ever seen. And I'll pack it all up and hand them the box back. And I'll say, come back to me when you have at least 10 blind play tests in. At least. And then do some more. Right? Yeah.
Continue.
Yes. Keep going.
It's a good start point. But
yeah. Because you're not going to get any feedback more valuable than that. Whether it's you're sitting at the table and watching people play, whether it's you're sending people a prototype and they're videotaping it for you. You're looking for multitudes of things in that blind play test. You're looking for, did they misunderstand a rule? Sorry, my Twitter went off. Did they misunderstand a rule? And if so, were they able to find it in the rule book? Did I even include a rule book? Like, also, you're also looking for those points of interaction. When you design the game, were you expecting a certain mechanic to really get a good, like, fun vibe out of it? Do they look bored? Do they look like they're engaged in the places that you expected them to be engaged at? Are they at the table talking to each other and obviously thinking through making quality decisions, or are they playing with Facebook on their phones, right? There are so many things that you can glean from a blind playtest that are so important to making a high quality game, and making sure that they understand the rules is literally just the tip of the iceberg, but it's so, so, so important. So important. Thank you, William. So important.
Sorry, I muted myself.
Sorry, my webcam keeps.
I'm trying not to cough. Sorry, kids.
Cough it up, honey. Nobody.
And I have a glass straw in my cup. It just keeps doing that.
That's terrifying. I don't know why.
Glass on glass.
I would be terrified the bottom of the straw would chip and then I'd suck in like glass shard.
I hadn't thought of that, Sarah. Thank you. Now my esophagus has holes in it, probably, that I didn't know about.
I'm sorry. Stainless steel straw. That's the way to go. There you go.
I know, but I like the glass ones because I can see if they're clean.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Or, you know, you have lips too. You just see, look, like.
Lips just to a cup.
Strawless. It's magic.
Oh, is it daily magic?
Yes.
Sorry, we've gotten off topic.
What? I'll see you, Bill.
I told Bill that we would be well behaved on tonight's show and discuss the rule books, and then I added "and buts." So for the next part of the episode, we wrap "Baby Got Back," which unfortunately I can rap quite well. I know every word.
As do I.
Yes. So that should have been an After Dark situation. Yeah. I see there's a lot of hi Pete in the chat. Pete Edward Peterman says hello. I mean, he doesn't. He's just real crabby behind me. But
we've got Pete's butt the whole time. So.
That ass. Probably not supposed to say that either. Sorry, Bill. Okay, I'm going to scroll down further. Let's see here. There's a lot of like hellos to people. Mr. Newman says designers are not the best at writing their own books. Too close to the material. That's valid.
Yeah, absolutely. And that
because
goes back
to what you expect it to do, right? Just like self-editing, you know what you want it to say, so you'll often just mentally fix a thing that's not actually fixed.
Well, and that goes back to that designers love to say, oh, I thought that was obvious. They read it, and in their head when they read it, it works the way they think it does. But their brain is automatically filling in the holes of that sentence of how it works, and it doesn't work that way. So, yeah, too close.
Chad says that's a hella big straw for that mug.
That is a hella big straw for that mug.
Here's the thing. Somebody forgot to read the sizes of the straws before she ordered them. I don't want to hear it.
Look, a coffee mug with brass knuckles.
Oh, yeah.
Serves like everything about it should be big and bold and ostentatious.
My face might look sweet and innocent. My coffee cup does not. Which is more fitting for my personality. And the lovely Miss Amanda Davis says you're doing the Lord's work.
Oh,
which, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is valid. See here.
Yeah.
Okay, and William says someone involved in the process from the start will see what they expect to see when they read the book, whether it's there or not. Exactly. That is 100%.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely the problem with self-editing, with designers creating their own rule books. You know what it's supposed to be, so you just will mentally fix that gap, and it's terrible. And Chad facetiously is saying, just put the rule book on Facebook, problem solved. Please stop doing that, guys.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
And this is coming from the person who's been trying to crowdsource dating. You should not.
I can tell you the main reason why not to do that. We can get into crowdsourcing dating another day, but putting the rule book up on Facebook or BGG, what ends up happening is that very innocently, it starts with posts about how, where things are wrong in the rule book, and very rapidly it devolves into everybody who's looking at it is now trying to develop your game and redesign it. It's not the point of why you put it up there. So having to scroll through and pull out all the stuff that doesn't actually matter to the reading of the rule book honestly just ends up being a waste of time.
Yeah.
So no, don't do that.
Hard pass.
Either hire a rule book editor, which that would be my first thing because I like to pay bills, or have somebody in your company or have somebody and trust who can do it for you, who's not your mom, who's not your best friend. What are they saying on there? You're laughing so hard.
No, Daniel said men are not Pokemon. I know. See, this is what happens when you crowdsource the dating. Yay. I get daily reminders that men are not Pokemon.
No.
You don't have to catch them all.
No, you don't.
I caught too many. I have a lot of regret. Don't do that. So also don't do that with your rule books. Don't, get too many. And Daniel also says finding folks to play it blind from the rule book is tough. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think playtesting groups are incredibly difficult to come by. I mean, I love you guys. I have so many designer friends. I often don't want to play your prototypes because I'm not nice.
Yeah.
And I love you.
That's what designers need.
And I won't be nice. Well, sometimes, but a lot of my friends I upset when I'm like, oh, this is, it's kind of boring. I can't really give you the most productive feedback as to why it works, but it's not enjoyable.
Let me say, if a designer isn't ready to take that feedback from somebody they know and trust, then they're probably not ready to be designing. Because if I can't take that from you and know that that's coming from somebody who is cultured and knowledgeable about how board games work and are fun, and know that you can give me that advice without also saying, Sarah, you suck, then maybe I'm not doing what I should be doing, because you have to be able to take that advice open-handedly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't find a playtesting group, then make a playtesting group, right? Get on Facebook. There's so many groups on Facebook who are, board game oriented. Get on your local Craigslist. I've seen so many on Craigslist for people who want to get together and play games. Start a board gaming group in your town. Go talk to your friendly local game store and see if they will set up a playtesting night. If you don't, I'm blessed because we live in the Pacific Northwest, so gaming here is it's
pretty big. Yeah.
It's as natural as drinking coffee and walking in the rain.
You just get that injected, I thought.
Yeah, no, it's just
you don't even get to drink it anymore. You don't need the straws. Which, yes, Dan. Now I do have a new fear with glass straws. Thank you, Sarah. I'm literally gonna check it.
My irrational fears. My irrational fear is now your problem. I'm sorry.
I know. I have enough irrational fears. Like the cats knocking stuff on me while I'm cubisting, because that happens on a regular basis. Okay, we're back to the Pokemon situation. I'm gonna keep scrolling. Yeah. He did make me a meme. That was so wonderful. And yes, my lovely Amanda sends me the men are not Pokemon meme every day too. It's good to get it from multiple people. Love you guys. Back to rule books. Whew. And yes, I nickname him after Pokemon too, Dan. Shush. I'm so sorry for everybody else who was very confused, like William, who I don't know. Sarah, you spoke earlier about being able to search for a specific rule when needed. Would it be a good idea for companies to offer downloadable, searchable PDFs of their rule books?
Oh, I feel like that's a great idea. There's no reason why they can't. I mean, putting up a downloadable PDF is a very easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Searchable isn't hard to make. And especially if, God forbid, something happens to your copy of the rule book, people spill drinks, things happen.
They get I don't know. The rare occasion that I actually read a rule book, I do it in bed usually. So it could end up under my bed, on my nightstand, in the top drawer of my dresser. Wherever my half asleep self sets it down.
Well, and let me say again, from a publishing standpoint, that's also a good marketing tool for me. If I have my rule books available, searchable, and readable online, and you are standing in your friendly local game store, and you know that you can go to my website and look at my rule book real fast, that's probably a leg up for you buying my game over somebody else's, right? Yeah. So there's no downside to a publisher doing that. And as a matter of fact, now I think we're going to do that, because I think that's I
think that's kind of brilliant. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Good on you, William.
Good job.
Like it. A searchable PDF would allow the user to pull. Yeah. That is valid. It's a good point. And Daniel's back to playtest and designer group. Yes. It is Bass like the fish. Good. Okay. William Bass. Got it.
Yes.
And Dan adds, not to mention PDF, you can errata stuff. Yep. Is that where it ends? Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? I think I've hit the end of the chat. We're caught up. Skimmed over some Pokemon nonsense, and here we are, kids.
Yay!
Yay! I would really like the idea of a searchable PDF for rulebooks. It's brilliant. William Bass is an intelligent human being.
Good job, William.
Go team. We just crowdsourced the future of rulebooks.
Woo!
On Cubist. Don't crowdsource your actual freaking rulebooks, though.
No, bad idea. Keep that separate.
You can definitely tell when things like rulebooks and graphic design have been crowdsourced.
Yes.
It's real obvious in a finished product. It's pretty problematic. Okay. I want to know, human friend peoples in the chat, can you tell me a rule book that you think was either really well done or very poorly done?
Ooh.
Because I'm a terrible person and I'm going to bash a rule book. And so other people have to as well. Transatlantic. The worst.
The worst.
The worst. We tried to play it at BGG Con last year with a group of people who enjoy reading rule books and teaching games. Paul Grogan, John Gets Games, and an open on Paul's iPad like scroll of the BGG forum to try to decipher the mess that was the rule book.
Oh.
Still was not quite playable.
Let me ask you a question.
Kind of broken.
Why? I mean, do you feel like that was a layout issue, a translation issue? Where do you feel like that's
unfortunately all of the above? So there were some really apparent translation issues. A lot of it was layout, though. It jumped, and the graphic design in the game didn't match the graphic design in the damn rule book. They changed icons between the print and didn't update the rule book.
Oh, no.
We were like, what? This doesn't exist in any card anywhere. I don't understand what this is. And then we were able to pull up on a BGG forum. Yeah, it took like an hour and a half to decipher the freaking rule book between that group of people. So no.
Yeah.
that was really real bad. And I love that designer, and Concordia is one of my favorite games, and just no. And then no. Don't do it. All right, Sam, good night. Sam's going to bed. Yep, Daniel says Transatlantic was terrible. Dan suggests making a companion smartphone app for every board game. No, Dan, no.
And if you want to get into that business, I watch your effort.
No, nobody wants a companion app for every freaking thing. It's just like you walk into any store now and there's a companion app for just every freaking store wants you to download their app. I don't need a Walgreens app. I'm good. Impressed with most of the What's Your Game rule books. Yeah, that's true. They do have really solid rule books and nice, like their games generally flow well. They fall into that niche for me at least where, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Daniel tried to make sense of the transatlantic one too. Yeah, it was so bad. Whew. Oh, and since Bill isn't here, Jason Hall has stepped up to say a nice thing about Eclipse.
Oh,
he says Eclipse had a really good rule book. See, generally we can't admit to anything that Bill likes as being good. Look, it's a special kind of love that people have for Bill. I mean, he earns it. Wait, the colors are different. Oh, Dan does make apps. Yeah. You do. You, boo. You make your own things then. Companion apps for things. But I don't want a companion app for every game.
No, not every game.
Hard pass. No. I mean, I'm sure we've probably discussed apps and board games in general before. People either really love them or really hate them. Yeah. Some are done really well. Most are mediocre at best. Let me see here. Rulebook was no, I can't say that. Zian. I'm mispronouncing that, Chad. I'm sorry. Rulebook was one of the few rulebooks that's actually unplayable. Oh, who is the designer of that game? I don't know.
Which game?
Cyan, X apostrophe IAN.
Oh,
Zion? I
Zion,
don't, Zion? Is that how you would pronounce that?
possibly.
Okay, and Daniel says he likes the old Rio Grande format of putting the sidebar with reminders. Oh, that is nice. In like a bigger format where
Yes.
there's like a big blurb of the here's the things. Yeah, that matters for me.
Yeah.
I'm also a huge
I like
fan of
sidebars.
sidebars and player aids. I'm a
Mhm.
sucker for a player aid.
Oh, yes.
I would absolutely make my own. X is pronounced shh. Oh, okay. Well, shh. Nope. Still not. I'm not doing it. I feel like I've butchered it too many times. So somebody else can do it for me. You can record it and we'll edit it in later, Daniel.
There you
So who else likes the sidebar thing? Is that a really personal thing? You like it? Yeah, I like it too. I'm a big fan of like a quick reference, a player's aid, a sidebar. Those things make me happy.
Yes. Yes. I love examples with graphics.
Yes.
Examples with graphics are my favorite.
Especially when the graphics actually freaking match the game. And the colors match the game, that matters too.
I'll give a shout out to a rule book I really enjoyed recently.
Do it, baby.
A couple months ago, we picked up Raja of the Ganges, friends of ours, and that rule book is really nice. It was that game when you first put it down can be a little overwhelming.
Definitely.
Iconography wise and color wise, and it's just there's a lot going on.
It's beautiful, but yeah.
But the rule book was very easy to read. When I had a question, it took me just a couple flips to find what I needed to find. And once I figured it out, it was smooth sailing. So, and the rule book is the one rule book is printed in like 6 languages. So
that's valid. R&R generally does a pretty good job with their rule books.
Yeah,
Mamasa was done pretty well too. That's another thinky heavy game. Oh, Chad says he hates rule books with jokes. What about with dad jokes? So like envision that Patrick or Daniel were writing the rule book. Think of the puns and the really mediocre dad jokes you could get.
It better be, I'm just saying, if you're going to put a pun, it better be solid, right? It should make you laugh from your toes up. That's all I'm saying. Otherwise,
I have never, is that a saying? Laugh from your toes up?
Laugh from your toes up. I'm saying, I like it.
It's a Sarah saying, and that's all that matters. And did you know that you just preemptively answered one of the things that I was going to ask you in rapid fire?
No.
So now I have to take that question out and think of something else on the fly.
I'm sorry.
I was going to ask you a rule book you recently enjoyed.
Raja of the Ganges, yeah.
Yay, but now I'm just going to yell some other random nonsense at you. You're welcome.
The Coimbra rule book is pretty good too, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. Because it's what I'm trying to say, brochure style, like it unfolds kind of like a little bit, and then but they have, it's easy to find because there's so much iconography in the back half of the book. After the rules, they have all the each card and each thing is like sectioned out, so it's easy to find the cards you're looking for to find out what it does, which is very helpful.
Oh, Vital Lacerda's Lisboa has that nice book for reference.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Now I'm going to lose my voice because, of course, excuse me. You can just reference all of your little, I can't remember, forum tiles, I think they're called. Maybe that's not it. That's Trajan. I don't know. All the little tile things. You just look up the letter and the number really quickly. And Lisboa is an amazing game, but it absolutely, you need that because the iconography, there's just so much iconography that you need to be able to quickly reference things.
Yeah.
It's a game that came out in late 2017. It's about the terracotta soldiers. Oh, Chad's talking about the game that was unplayable.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't recall that one, which maybe that's why. Maybe it fell flat because it wasn't playable with the rule book.
Possible.
Yeah. And Jason Hall is also a fan of the sidebar and a quick refresh. Mm-hmm. Chad hates the rule books with jokes. I mean, just zero jokes. Just none jokes. None. We don't think you're funny. I have one. What about the first player rule thing?
Oh, well.
First player rules. Oh my God, we are adults.
Yeah.
And I have seen many adults argue at a table about the first player rule. I'm never going to give a damn.
Yeah.
Somebody start the game. Like,
Well,
that's usually where a lot of the jokes come in, I think.
I
Are
think
based
people
around
argue
that.
about the first player because sometimes if games aren't properly balanced, whoever's first player has an advantage. So they're
Mhm.
going to want to go first. Which, if your first player has an advantage, that should have been fixed.
Yep. Then you do things like adjust how much money the continuing players get or actions they get on their first turn. There are ways around that, guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the first player rule is like the one spot that just it's almost like tradition now is the one place rulebooks try and be funny.
Yeah. It's a bunch of ridiculous stuff. All right. The Lisboa hymnal. There we go. That's what. Oh, Daniel's all business and rule books. Get it, Daniel. The quirkiness and dungeon pets may. Oh, so yeah, I think the Vlodja games are all a little bit quirky / funny in the rule books, right? Dungeon pets, dungeon lords, even Codenames has some goofy stuff in the rule books. But I can see how that's pretty divisive. Like, you either love it or hate it.
But, you know, good on them for, like, if that's their shtick for running with it, right?
I think it is kind of their shtick that they stick to it. Chad says FFG has pretty horrid rule books. I don't know that I own any FFG games.
So, Fantasy Flight, I feel like they tried to take a turn for better rule books when they started printing the, you know, here's the learn how to play book and then here's the reference book. I don't think all of them are terrible. I have no, I'm not going to remember the name of that game.
I have
Forbidden Stars. I have Forbidden Stars, which is it's, you know, Twilight Imperium without the diplomacy. It's just I'm going to go beat up on your neighbor. And it's a dudes on a map game. So there are a lot of rules. And with that game in particular, I really appreciated the here's my first play, how to play walkthrough book, and then here's the more in-depth rules reference for the more nuanced stuff.
Right.
And I have found through conversation that people with the Fantasy Flight rule books the way they are now, especially with the way they're doing the 2 rule books, people either love it or they hate it. It's the Neil Diamond of rule books. Like, you either love it or you hate it. There's really no diamond.
Friends in the chat, do you have any suggestions for Sarah when it comes to rule books? Is there something that you feel like, in general, not necessarily always, rule books are lacking that you would love to see editors focus more on?
Ooh,
pay attention to you. And I mean, aside from what we've already discussed, obviously, unless you want to reiterate the same things again. Let's see here. Oh, and Brandon Rojas says Chwazi is their normal first player go-to. Yep. Or drop, like, put one of each player color piece in and you just drop one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I definitely would like to see more, personally, for me in the rule books. I know it's reiterating the thing, but the quick reference guide with a graphic.
Yes.
Because I'm a visual learner.
Yes.
So the graphic is, I'm terrible at remembering what the pieces in games are called. I call them all like nuggets.
Nuggets.
So then I have to go back and try to figure out, okay, what the hell are senators? Let me go back. And it's like, you move the senator, and I'm like, which one of these is a senator? They're black cubes and gray cubes, and I don't.
Yeah.
Give me some sort of iconography, something graphic that I can look at and go, okay, the little black one. All right, got it.
Especially if it's a true Euro and what you have is literally a bunch of different colored cubes.
Which is generally what it is for me. Yeah.
Right? There's no reason why when I write senator in a rule book, I can't put a little picture of a black square, right? Like, it's not,
please do that. Not difficult. I find myself frequently going back through rule books going like, which one of these damn cubes is supposed to represent or a senator or whatever these are? Just give me a freaking cube color next to the thing so that I can move on with my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I've recently started reading rule books to games that we have that I know how to play very well, that I realized I never read the rule book to because somebody taught me how to play, right?
Yeah,
like I realized the other day that I've never read the rule book to Lords of Waterdeep. I have played that game, I can't even tell you how many times, and I realized I never even looked at the rule book. So I've started doing that as well to see if maybe, and there have been times where I've done that and been like, oh, I've been playing that wrong the whole time.
There was actually a Codenames thing I'd always been playing wrong because I had been taught it, and I had never actually looked at the rule book until I played with a different group of people, and I was like, what? Okay, and Amanda says, make sure there are as many tiebreakers as needed. See, I'm incredibly competitive. I don't mind tying in a game. I'm one of the only people that's like, whatever, we both got the same basic.
My rule of thumb is like we'll go 3 tiebreakers, and at that point, if you're still tied,
play it out. Oh, play it again. That's a common one though that ends in the tiebreakers, right? It says play again.
Yeah.
I would put deathmatch, but
I like that.
I'm generally just not that nice. Whoever shivs the other first, you're the winner. This is why I don't write rule books. Let's bring back the sidebars. Okay, we know tiebreakers. Oh, come on, guys.
Daniel says chicken. I think based on what you just said, if I ever design a game, I want you specifically to write my rule book.
Yes, probably not. This is how we get kicked out of the board gaming community. Okay, Daniel says, not having special names for... Sorry. Just jumped straight. I need to sleep at some point, probably. When there are common terms available.
Say that one more time.
I think he's saying don't use special names for commonplace things, if I'm getting that right.
Can you give me an example, Daniel?
Yes, Daniel, can you give us an example? Also, Daniel, can you message me some more questions to ask Sarah for rapid fire? Or Amanda, somebody text me a question. You learn Lords of Waterdeep from the app. Yeah, sometimes learning games is actually really a lot easier to do through a well-done app. But that doesn't mean everything needs an app, Dan. Yeah. Oh, Chad suggests the third tiebreaker should always be Indian leg wrestling. I'm not entirely certain what that is, but I'm probably in for that. I'm going to Google that.
Yeah, okay. Be careful. There's a rabbit hole there waiting.
Look, I once Googled banana sailboat. It was a bad idea. Best tiebreakers, Arboretum. It tells you to plant a tree, right, Daniel? Is that? I don't know. And Brandon says, through the Ages app. Yep, that one's great. William says he feels like all rule books should start with a picture of all the components labeled. That's nice. This enables the player to make sure they are looking at the right component when it's referenced in a rule.
Agreed. One of the first things in the rule book should be a component list with a picture and a quantity.
Yes. And then I can look up what the freaking cube colors are supposed to be called.
Yep.
Like, don't learn spells from your grimoire instead of draw cards from your deck. Oh, see, this is where I falter in rule books always. I'm like, because I don't thematically give a damn.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do, but I don't give a damn what the thematic anything is. I don't read the flavor text. So I look at things and I'm like, I don't know what any of that was supposed to mean. So let me try to piece through this. Okay. Okay, and William says he's going to mention again, examples are great, except when the rule is only mentioned within the context of the example. Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You don't do that. That seems like a really poorly done thing. No, nope, don't do it. All right, Sarah, are you almost prepared?
I'm as prepared as I am ever.
As mentally as you can be. About rapid fire, because I'm going to rapid fire you in a second. Now, I'm not quite there yet, so keep
anticipation is killing me.
You guys have like 2 more minutes to ask questions before we move on to the rapid fire and self-promotion. Anybody else have any suggestions or questions for Sarah? Speak now or forever hold your peace. I feel like Daniel's going to yell at me for that comment. I can't say anything without getting some side eye. I swear to you.
That's quite all right.
I mean, yeah. Most of the time I realize what I've done. Wow. I can't believe that that's a thing that has actually happened, William. Do you know what rule book has done that? Because that's real bad. And for those following along later, we're referencing back to the only listing a rule in the example, not in the book.
Yeah, why would you do that?
That is real terrible.
Yeah, examples should definitely be there for clarification purposes, but the rule should be stated, like, stated, and then
actually stated.
Yeah.
Oh. Somewhere. All right, I have Sarah's 5th question now.
Oh.
Boop, boop. Oh, which means we can rapid fire.
I'm ready.
There. Okay, guys. Sarah, do you know the rules of rapid fire?
Probably not. Yell questions at me, and I'm going to yell answers back really fast.
Basically, yeah. Also, I don't know that I know the rules, so bear with me here. I don't normally do this. I think I yell questions at you. You yell them back. I think you're not supposed to repeat them because that's biding time.
Okay.
You can't like repeat the question to me. Don't spend 8 years thinking about him like a Mr. Steve Kairos did. He was the best / worst rapid fire we have ever had on the show. He took like 10 years to answer any question and just panicked every time. And it was magical, but let's not do that again.
I'm going to bring that up next time.
Oh, you absolutely should. We need to have Steve on for just a whole session of rapid, like an hour of me just yelling stuff at Steve while he freaks out. And it would be so good. Okay, are you ready for this?
Well, no, wait. The next time you have Steve on, one of your rapid fire questions should be, why do you cheat all the time? That's the next question.
Yes. Do you remember when we all played together and he was like the mayor of Dickville, I think is what I named him? Yeah. It took us forever to remember what it was. 7 Wonders. When I was just out.
Yes.
Because I had to play next to Stabby McAsshole in 7 Wonders. And he just kept attacking me. And not allowing me any cards to attack back. Okay. So without further ado, we are going to rapid fire the lovely Miss Sarah Sharp. Woohoo! From Creator's Companion and Daily Magic Games. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you amped up?
I'm ready and raring to go.
You need to get so amped up, Sarah. Okay. Oops. I just almost deleted the file without asking you the questions because I'm doing well. Okay. What is your favorite game to introduce to kids?
Ice Cool.
Ooh, so cool. That was good. That was fast. Favorite cartoon cat, because your name is Kitty Kaboom.
Oh, the cat on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the cartoon.
Salem.
Yes.
I'm not proud that I know that. If you could only drink one beverage, what would it be?
Tea.
That's my girl. How many tattoos do you have? 7.
Wow.
Ooh.
No. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I like that you don't know.
I had to count. I have 5. That's 7.
That's not the same number.
Sorry.
We're going to discuss that after this last question here. What is your least favorite board game?
Oh.
Do, 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 do.
I don't know the answer to that.
You don't want to bash a game. You're too nice.
I honestly don't know what my least favorite game is. I'm not a fan of party games. Just
there we go.
Period.
So like Cards Against Humanity or something?
Yeah, I'll play it like when we're camping and stuff, but if I have a choice, I'm out.
All right. That's acceptable. You did fairly well on this rapid fire situation. I did less well.
Oh.
With the asking of the questions, but you survived it and it was relatively quick. I feel like we should score people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We need to have like a
I need to rank higher than Steve.
Like you definitely ranked higher than Steve. Okay. And every question Steve was like, we're like, what is happening? We broke Steve. It was amazing. Okay. Now we have, oh, I got Brandon's message got flagged for a thing. Oh, yeah, I'm the one that said the thing and he just typed it and he got flagged. Sorry, Brandon. Yes. Love you. That is what we named Steve in that game. Look, he earned that title and it's
fair.
fine.
I was witness.
That's right. Oh, and now I'm going to do our Punchboard Media thing before I forget.
Okay.
We are proud members of Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Okay. It's much easier when it's just one of me saying it. Not all of us trying to sync it. That was poorly. Now, Sarah, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and where people can stalk you online and
all the places.
Self-promote all the things.
Yeah. So if you're stalking Creators Companion, you can find me at my website, creatorscompanion.com. You can find me on the Twitter at both at Creators Editing, capital C, capital E, and at Kitty Kaboom 25. That's me personally. And then, of course, you can find us and on Facebook, both things, Creators Companion, and then myself. You can find me if you look hard enough. Also, Daily Magic Games. You can find us on the internet at dailymagicgames.com. In our Twitter is at daily_magic. That's it. And then on Facebook as well. And pretty much on every West Coast convention, I'm there. I always list where I'm at on the Twitter. So if you know I'm there and you want to chat, come find me. I love to talk all things books and board games and comics and nerdy general stuff related. Yeah.
We haven't, I feel like we're not really supposed to wrap, probably, right? Because I feel like we should end the show by rapping Baby Got Back. Bill would be horrified, but I feel like there's some sort of copyright issue.
Yeah, probably. I think I don't know if Sir Mix-a-Lot deserves our money right now. So yeah.
Whoa! Oh, did he do something bad? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Everybody's bad now. I don't know. I once saw Sir Mix-a-Lot with a flat tire on the side of the highway in Auburn. It was amazing.
Okay. All right.
Okay, and I am Kimberly Rivia. You can guess what, kids? I'm going to let you follow me on the internet again. Usually now I just shut up and I refuse to say anything lately. I am the co-founder and organizer of Granite Game Summit. We have a really big announcement coming soon. Woo! You can follow our account at G2 Summit on Twitter and Facebook / Granite Game Summit, I think probably, and we're at G2 Summit on Instagram as well. You can follow me personally at KJ Rivia on Twitter. Everything else is locked down because I'm not that nice. I'm not, yeah. And occasionally I'm on here for the Cubist. Thank you all for joining us this evening. And thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on and discussing rule books with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yay! Good night, everybody.